exemple ça? Oui. Ah, okay. So, yes. So we remain on orthology now, about more about the methods, and so Salvatore will give us this topic. Oops.
Good evening, I am Salvatore Cosentino from the University of Tokyo in Japan, and as you can see I'll be talking to you about a tool, SonicParanoid, for the prediction of orthologous genes. We'll go fast, of course, on the importance of orthology, because you all guys already know, and there are really... Oops, can you hear me now? Great. Okay. And yeah, there are lots of tools available. And these tools are usually separated in two kinds of tools, graph-based and tree-based. So the graph-based, basically, they take a simple graph of sequence similarities, and then they use different techniques in separating between main orthologs and imparalogs, right? And the tree-based, instead, basically, they use a phylogenetic tree as a guide. And they tend to be accurate, but they are quite computationally expensive. So as a user, usually you can use like a standalone to predict de novo your orthologs, but these are usually difficult to install, or you can use, for example, a database like ISMB, ECCB. And then, of course, why another, right? So in my case, I had to use an orthology tool for myself. I was using ISMB, which is one of the oldest, and I think it's a very nice, simple idea behind the separation. And as you can see, for example, if you have two proteomes, in this case, A and B, and let's say that, this way. Let's say that A1 and B1 are the main orthologs. If you see you have the black dots in here, right? The black dots inside the circle in A1, those are imparalogs. So the idea is that the main ortholog should be similar to imparalog from the same species than to any other sequence from the other proteome, right? And then in my case, I had lots of proteomes to analyze, and I didn't have much time, right? And so ISMB is designed to work with two proteomes, so I had to do lots of scripting anyway. And then we made SonicParanoid, in which basically we keep the idea from the slide that you've seen before, and then we made quite a few changes on the core algorithm. For example, we modified the scoring function to have a penalty that take into account, for example, the difference between a potential candidate imparalog and the main ortholog. And then it's rejected, depending on how is this difference, how much is this difference. And we also changed the clustering step in which this cluster of imparalog are separate, split, or deleted. We of course, produce orthology inference using either Markov clustering or a single linkage hierarchical clustering. It's in Python. We use MM6 for the oversaw alignments, which made it faster. And we also give the opportunity to, if you want to keep your collection of orthologs without need of a database. And we tested using the dataset and benchmarking service from the Quest for Ortholog, which is a community, which here, Christopher is here, for example, and many people. And this is very nice because it saved me, for example, lots of time in all the analysis and the testing. And then what did we found? Yeah, we found, of course, that we were fast. In terms of speed, we compared SonicParanoid with other two tools that are quite fast, which are OrthoFinder 2 and Protein Ortho. And of course, we compared with ISMB. And we run our method in fast, default, and sensitive modes. And if you look on the left, so basically the values inside, they are the speed up folds that SonicParanoid had. And we are, for example, in this case, on the left side, we are also considering the time required for the always or sole alignments. And in this case, we are a bit slower. While in the other case, in which we only consider the processing of these alignments, well, we are faster, I think, in all of the cases. When we check the accuracy, same on the benchmark as I was saying before, we are also accurate. And as we can see in fast, default, and sensitive mode, we are on the Pareto frontier, which basically means that it's not that bad, right? And yes, as I was saying before, as a feature, you can, let's say you have, for example, your 100 of proteomes, you already have the alignments, your results, and then I'm like, well, I got 5 new proteomes, what do I do? So instead of running everything, you just put those new files in the input, it will only automatically compute the alignments that needs to compute and the tables and give you the results. On the opposite, you can also work on a subset. You can say, okay, of this 100, I only want this 20, and you can create the ortholo groups in a few minutes without needing the alignments. And yes. And yeah, I like to think that it's robust in the sense that some users had some problems and they were having strange results. It was because sometimes they were renaming a file or changing a sequence, and basically the results were going very strange. And then so I also do some simple hashing check on the input to make sure that this input is really new and different from the input that was used before. You can stop and restart it without losing information. And I like to say it's easy to install, and I also ran it on my old laptop, and it worked. So to conclude, yeah, SonicParanoid, I like to think it's fast, accurate, and easy to use. And then I have to thank people in here, and of course all members of EvolCCB Lab, and the users of SonicParanoid, Martin and Milot from MSX, Adrian, which helped me when I had a problem in using the benchmarking service, and all the people, of course, from Q4, and all of you. Of course, and if you have more questions, please come to the poster later.
Okay, so perhaps I'm going to start unless... well, it sounds like you've done an excellent job. I'm wondering, you've looked at the performance maybe in the benchmark. Where do you think that there is still potential for improvement in terms of
the functional tests?
In the functional tests?
Yes.
So maybe you can explain.
We are working already on that, but it's more on the poster. Yeah.
So you think, compared to other methods, you mean?
Yeah, we can improve. Yeah, I hope.
And maybe more generally speaking, if you look collectively, I mean, it seems to me orthology, I mean, this was mentioned previously, orthology remains quite a difficult problem. Where do you think all the methods are still doing many mistakes?
Well, I've seen, at least in the results in the benchmark, they're very different, of course, those that use tree, and instead of the graph-based, they seem to be more, of course, sensitive. So I think the approach, I think we need to integrate more data, if possible, without losing, hopefully, the speed in this case, which of course we will lose something, but I hope we can integrate something to improve.
With more data, SonicParanoid will get better.
With more different kind of data I'm trying to integrate, yeah, I hope so. Okay.
Other questions? No? If not, well, let's thank Salvatore.